What's going on, everyone? Moose here, just a bit outside. And today I want to talk about optics because I see so many people that struggle with optics or what they want or what they need. And truth be told, I struggled with it too. When I was getting into air guns and powder burners and things like that, and believe me, I've been in them my whole life, but I really had no idea. I didn't ever have anybody that really kind of took me by the hand and said, hey, let me show you something. But I do want to talk about a few different things. I'm just going to grab this camera real quick. I just want to move my B-roll camera over just a tad. There we go. So I want to talk about a couple of different options for optics and why or why not they may be exactly with what you're looking for. So, you know, depending upon what you're going to put an optic on, depends on the kind of optic that you're going to want to get. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you are putting an optic on something that you intend to shoot no further than 50 yards, having a high-powered optic might not necessarily be exactly what you mean and what you need. However, that could vary, I suppose, if you are in fact shooting competition at 50 yards, like N50, something like that. Higher magnification, certainly, but then you're going to be talking about, at that point, you're going to know exactly what you need. Your gun's going to be impressive, and so is your optic. But let's just talk about a few different optics choices here. So this here, we have a Arken Optics. This is the 4-16 by 50, the SH4 Gen 2. This is a very heavy optic, right? This has some good weight to it. So an optic like this for me would be for shooting some long range, say up to 500 yards. Hunting, this would be a pretty decent optic for hunting if you are hunting from a blind and not stalking. Why? Well, because of the weight. If I'm stalking and I'm walking through the woods and I've got, you know, my backpack and all my stuff to harvest the meat and everything else with me, and then I've got my rifle, and then I add this and all my ammo and everything else, everything's going to start weighing up. So maybe not the best choice for a stalking scope, but definitely a great scope if you're sitting in a blind or, you know, shooting some bench rest type of shooting. Great optic. This would actually also go really well, and I've got a video coming up on an AR-15. This is a good optic for that, and we're going to talk about that more in the near future. So, great optic. Then we have like an optic like this. This is a 5-25 by 56. This is the Discovery Optics ED PRS side focus illuminated reticle scope. This is definitely a great long range contender. This would be great for NRL 22. This would be great for 22 PRS, and this would actually be just fine in the PRS realm. Some people may argue and say, well, you know, it's not the... Okay, well, I understand where you're going with this. But not everybody has an unlimited budget. So it's a great budget-friendly optic for that type of shooting. Turrets don't lock. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that these turrets can be freely moved at any time. So not something that would be great for bumping around or things like that. Same with the Arken. They do not lock. The Zero Stop will lock, but you can turn the turret at any point, right? So great for target, great for an application where you're not going to be in the woods and bumping into things or traveling or needing it for something that requires precision on the fly, not that you have an opportunity to make sure it's zeroed before you shoot. We're going to talk more about that too. So let's put that one up there. Then we have another lightweight optic. This is, now we're getting into lighter weight stuff. So this is the Helix 4-16 by 44 first focal plane. Love this optic. I really do. It's super lightweight for what it is. The turrets, once again, are not lockable. However, they do have a zero stop. But it's a great lightweight option, right? This would be another optic that would be great on a hunting rifle, or, you know, a hunting air gun, anything like that. Great precision. No illuminated reticle, but it does have the side focus. This one actually has a side focus throw wheel on it. And, you know, having that side focus is paramount for being able to, you know, range your targets. And then we have kind of a poor example. This is a center point, but this is more of a fixed ranged scope, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, it's more because the caps or the turrets are actually capped. So with a gun like this, or with a scope like this, sorry, this is something that I would put on an air gun, maybe a 22, maybe, probably not, but maybe. Sight the thing in at 25 yards, and then just learn how much I have to hold over for 50 yards, and maybe a little bit further than that. But this is a scope that's going to be much more difficult to use, being that it's got a front parallax on the front here. It's not where we're on our gun and we can just reach up and hit that parallax on the side. We actually now have to reach up and kind of contort our body to be able to reach up and you know, turn the magnification or the parallax. So great option for a fixed range hunting scenario, right? Let's say that you did have it on a air gun for deer hunting. You know that from your stand to the spot where the deer come in is 50 yards. You zero this thing at 50, call it a day. Don't worry about it. You know, great option. So there we have that. And this does have an illuminated reticle as well. But the reticles are a lot different as well. And we'll talk more about reticles in another series that I'm going to be talking about. So now we've talked about scopes. Let's continue on to the optics, and let's talk about some different types of you know, red dots, holographic sights, if you will, and what their purposes are. So this is a unbranded holographic sight. And what do we mean by holographic as opposed to red dot? Holographic is that there is a little projector somewhere outside of the reticle here that shines up onto this glass, right? So it's not a red dot in the fact that it's floating here. It's projected onto the glass here. And, you know, and there's pros and cons. I'm not saying anything bad about it. This does actually work. I had this on an air gun pistol, and it did all right. I mean, it does. It holds up decently. It's nothing that I would put on to an AR and expect it to last, especially how flimsy this outline part is here. This is not built for any kind of abuse at all. If this thing takes a tumble, bow, and it lands on this, you're done. I assure you, you're done. These are made for basically paintball or airsoft or air guns. These are not really made for firearms. Could you do it? Yeah, for maybe a shot or two. It's not going to hold up to the recoil of anything that's serious though. But there you go. Holographic sight. Great for, you know, just backyard plinking, having a good time. Now this here, this is actually a red dot. Okay, so this is made by our friends over at Tacticon. And they sent this to me a long time ago to review. And I've had it on a lot of different guns. And this thing is great. I actually have the magnifier that goes with it as well. But this is an actual red dot. And what that means is that when we operate this illumination, there is actually a red dot in there. It's not projected like the others. It is actually just there. So, but this has capped turrets as well. This will actually hold up to large recoil. I've had this on a slew of pew-pews and had no issues with it whatsoever. So this is great for, this is just going to be a dot, just like this holographic sight here. So there's no real holdover in this or anything else. It's basically sight your gun in at 100 yards and then Hail Mary everything else, right? Because, you know, I mean, granted, from 75 to 150, you probably can use the same dot, right? The dot that's at 100 is going to be good at 75 yards or maybe 150. But then you're going to start having drop past that and rise before that. So it's going to make a little bit of a difference. But overall, for quick target acquisition, you know, if you know that you're shooting, let's say, steel at 50 yards, you know, you can learn, though. You can learn how to use holdover with that. So there you go. There's a red dot. There's a holographic. Now here we have a EOTech. And full disclosure, this is a knockoff. This is one of those eBay EOTechs that I wanted to get because I wanted to see the difference between this and an actual EOTech. And I did find out that this is actually a holographic sight, not a red dot like an actual EOTech. EOTechs are a red dot. This is a holographic sight. And I can tell that because I can look at the device this way. Well, I can look at the device. Hold on. Where is it at? Find it. There we go. I can look at the device that way, and I can see the holographic sight there. But if I look down inside of here, I can see the projector projecting that image up onto the sight itself. So, you know, and it's red and green and blah, blah, and darkness and, you know, whatever. But I have seen some really funny videos of guys really putting these things to the test to see what they can hold up to. And I think we're going to do that too. So stay tuned, because there's going to be an awesome video on this thing getting beat to crap by us. But there's another example of a red dot slash holographic sight, because it's not real. Then we have what's called like an ACOG, right? So an ACOG is a great option. Honestly, I love these things. This is not a Trigicon. This is made by another company that sent it to me to review. So you're going to be seeing a review on this thing coming up. But how this works is it actually has an etched reticle inside of this device here, right? So right in here, you're going to have an etched reticle. And then you can adjust it. And this orange band around here is a fiber optic light gathering system that will gather all kinds of light from around you, even up until dusk. And it will send that into the reticle so that the reticle always appears to be illuminated. No batteries required. This gathers its light from inside of here. Now they do make other options. You know, you've seen the typical one that's got the fiber optic kind of tube coming all the way across here. You know, this company does have one of those as well. I've got some interesting stuff to say about this, but we're gonna talk about this. So you guys are going to be able to see this. But this is another great option. The nice thing about this etched reticle in this particular ACOG style of scope is that it is granulated for holdovers. So you could technically shoot this 0 at 100 and probably shoot it out into the 700-800 yards or further. I mean, it is actually marked. Then we have one of my all-time favorites, the Monstrum. I love this thing. This is the Monstrum Prism scope. I actually gave one of these to a buddy of mine because I love this scope so much. I actually have an AR that this belongs to, and it stays on there. And there's a couple of reasons why. This is a Prism scope. It's a 3x magnifier. So when I look through this, you know, I've got a great sight picture with a circle and a dot reticle etched into the glass. However, it's also illuminated. So normally when I would shoot this, I would illuminate, right? So now I can see my illumination. I'm on my target. I'm on my target. If for some reason the battery went dead, it makes no difference because the reticle is etched onto the glass. Holds up extremely well. I have done serious damage to these things and never had a problem. The one that I gave my buddy, man, one day we stood out there and chucked this thing as high as we could into the air and let it come crashing down onto his gravel driveway. And no issues. Yeah, it still shot fine. It was not attached to a gun when we did that. But this thing is a tank. Great warranty through Monstrum. And if you guys are interested, I'll throw links to most of these things down below if you guys are interested in any of these. But I love this option for ARs or anything else, to be honest with you. But with that being said, I hope that helped you guys to kind of understand. You know, I know we didn't cover like first focal plane or second focal plane, but you know, I see people all the time that have air guns, especially, that are really only capable of maybe 60 or 70 yards. And then they go out and they mount this big bad mother on there and they're like, yeah, dude, my scope. And it's like, well, there's probably lots of other options for that. It's not that I have anything against them. It's just, you know, a good lightweight scope would do you just as good. So it's not just about, you know, how big and, you know, all your turrets, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to be carrying something around for squirrel, this is not a good option. This is not a good option. The Element, maybe, although there's no locking turrets. But this is a great option. Super lightweight. Easy to use. Just a great all-around option. Even a red dot for a squirrel. Yeah. Hear me now, believe me later. You know, I mean, if your average shot is 50 yards, you can probably get away with that. So, or 20 yards or 25 yards, whatever it is. So, with that being said, I'm Moose. Thanks for tuning in today. You've watched another episode of Just a Bit Outside. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Till next time, be good to each other, and God bless. Oh, and by the way, YouTube, I haven't modified anything. I haven't put these on a gun. Don't demonize this video. I haven't done anything wrong. I followed your guidelines 100%. Thanks. Take care, everybody. God bless.